yes. Say yes. Good evening, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you enjoyed that. That is one of our original songs here at Up Church, written by the incomparable Noriko, and I'm sure somebody else is contributing to that. But say yes. So that's what today is for me, is say yes. Say yes, say yes, say yes. And I'll share this with you. I always want to bring something different. And usually I bring the writings of other people, but I was like, maybe I'll share what I got. So my sermon title for Sunday is Say Yes. And I was searching for the song because we had a song called Say Yes, written 2 different times. And I found that I actually did a sermon back in 2017, also the same title. And I was like, oh, well, what did I say? And so this is what I just read you just a very, very small part. Who knows how much of God's good is sitting in spiritual escrow because we won't simply accept or learn to accept what God has prepared for us. We take pride in having a little bit and think that not having brings us closer to God. God's character is abundance, so getting next to God means getting next to abundance. And you cannot be next to something and not have it touch you at your core and change you. To align with God is to align with abundance. To get on God's team is to agree to a life of plenty. The rule of the universe is plenty, more than enough to spare and to share all the good you can stand. When God gets to express, absent the interference from humankind, it is lavish, unfailing, unending abundance. Just go out and stand on the beach and take in the majesty of the ocean. Words can barely convey what you feel when you simply take in the ocean. Depending on what part of the beach you visit, you get a different experience. Some places you can find huge waves to surf. Others you can wade in and feel the coolness of the water. Still other places you can sit and listen to the waves crash against the shore. For many people, the beach is their happy place. It puts them next to God in a very real way. To align with God is to align with abundance. To get on God's team is to agree with the life of plenty. In reality, many of us break the prayer circle and never manifest our dreams because we cannot accept that much good into our lives. We have weighted our lives in such a way that we are more comfortable giving than receiving. So anyway, so that is my call to you and to myself. Say yes. And sometimes, maybe this is today's lesson, sometimes you're hanging on to something because you thought it was the thing that was going to take you where you wanted to go. And you need to let it go so that you can actually be guided to where you desire to be. So I don't know who needs to let something go. I know I got a phone call today of some stuff I got to let go that I was like, oh, I didn't really know it was time to let that go, but here we are. So that's my message for you today. All right, let us get into it. I hope everybody has had a powerful, positive week. I apparently can't find Proverbs. It ain't there. That's Nahum, Micah. Here we go. Proverbs. So tonight we're working with the same handout, which we'll have for a couple of weeks. Come on, Proverbs. Here we go. Which we'll have for a couple of weeks. We will have a guest speaker on the 24th. So as soon as I know that that's locked in, I will announce it. So I'm very, very excited about that. So tonight we're going to work with verses 22 to 26, verses 22 to 26. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay. No. Okay, so verse 22 to 26. So this part actually has a name. that they gave it. Sorry about that. Apparently I didn't have this ready either. Okay, this is called They Give Life and Security. They give life and security. And so these next 3 sections, last week and today, and then 2 more weeks, these 4 sections are under what scholars term lecture 4. And it is about the wisdom of honesty, the wisdom of honesty. So this is what we're talking about, it is equating honesty with wisdom and why you want to be wise. And so from the New Revised Standard Version, if somebody can get the New King James Version together, and if somebody can get the American Standard Version, and I'll have the Jewish Study Bible. So I'll come to you next. So this is the New Revised Standard Version. Remember our process. Our process is we read the scripture and we just notate. So you want to have, hopefully you've printed these out. If not, you can have just a blank sheet of paper. And what I'm going to do is, take 60 seconds after each reading and ask you to note down whatever feelings come up, whatever ideas come up, but you're listening to what the Spirit wants to say to you. There are no wrong answers. So you're only listening for what the Spirit desires to say to you. All right. Let's take a deep breath. And exhale. And they will be for life. They will be life for your soul and adornment for your neck. Then you will walk on your way securely, and your foot will not stumble. If you sit down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden panic or of the storm that strikes the wicked. For the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. Take a deep breath. I'm going to put the timer on for 60 seconds. And we're going to write down your impressions. Ten seconds. Okay. Let me get 2 people, 2 impressions. You can just unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Earlene.
Hi, Arlene.
I just in reading it, I felt a sense of security.
Yeah, I picked that up too. Thank you. Thank you. One more person.
I love the idea of your sleep will be sweet, because when your sleep is sweet, that means it goes into what Arlene was just saying. You have no cares. Like you're just, there is nothing that is disturbing your mind that would keep you from being able to have that deep rest.
Amen. Amen. Yes, 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 yes. I picked that up too because I have had sleep that wasn't sweet. So that phrase like really touched me emotionally. Who has the New King James Version ready?
I have it ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Verse 22. So they will be life to your soul and grace to your neck. Then you will walk safely in your way, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. Yes, you will lie down, and your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden terror, nor of trouble from the wicked when it comes, for the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught.
All right, let's take a deep breath. The timer is set. You want to capture any impressions. There are no wrong answers. Welcome, Lynn. We are actually reading chapter 3, verses 22 to 26 in Proverbs. And we're just writing down impressions. Okay. All right, I'll take 2 impressions. You can just unmute yourselves.
I think near 25 and 26 says to me that no matter what may come up, not to worry about it because God got you.
Yes, yes. Yeah. I picked that up too. Anybody else? One more impression. Anybody else?
I think something for me, I don't know what the full expression of the impression is, but what caught my eye is the ornament of grace. Because before I thought of the adornment for your neck. And then when this one said an ornament of grace, it just made me curious about what does it mean in that culture in this time for ornamentation around the neck? What all does that signify? Because at first I thought about when you have an animal and you have their neck, right? But I was like, it was not that kind of neck relationship. This is talking about an ornament, something that adorns you. So
Possibly beautification.
yeah.
But then that could be our modern use, like
Right.
this, we wear things around our neck for beautification now, but maybe it had a different meaning then. So good. Oh, I love the way y'all are listening. So just to reiterate for just so you guys understand the process, and for anybody that is coming in on this, I know all the folks here in Zoom, but there may be somebody on YouTube. So what we're doing is a metaphysical Bible interpretation process, and there are 5 steps. The first step is just reading and taking in the information, and we're reading and listening. So that's what's happening when we're reading. We're taking a breath, we're writing down our impressions. Then in the next step, we're going to choose the keywords and phrases that we're going to look up. We use the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, the Revealing Word, and the regular dictionary to decipher the words and to begin to develop the definitions. Then step 3, we're going to develop the definitions based on what we researched from the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, from the Revealing Word, our impressions from reading the scriptures, the supplemental material, and then we're going to take those definitions, put them back inside the scripture and rewrite the scripture with those definitions. And then we're going to let the metaphysical meaning emerge. So this process, I'm just taking it step by step, and we do our best to get to the end by the end of class. That's the goal. All right. I'm going to share my screen. You know what? Let me do this actually first. For those that may not, for whatever reason, may not have the documents. So if you are on my mailing list, you should have a link to both of the documents that we're using this evening. But for safety, I'm going to put it in the chat. Just give me 1 second. Oh, just move slow, why don't you? Okay. And okay. Hi, Alita. Glad to have you on camera. Hello. Y'all scared to be on camera. Don't be scared. All right. Alita, will you read for me? I'm going to put it up on screen. Let me know if that's big enough. We're taking verses 22 to 26. So right here.
So shall they be life unto the soul, and grace to thy neck. Then shalt thou walk in thy way securely, and thy foot shall not stumble. When thou layest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, though I lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. For Jehovah will be thy confidence, and will keep thy foot from being taken.
There's a lot in there. Those yays. Anyway, it took me to Psalm 23. Okay, let's take a deep breath. And the timer is set, and you're just writing down your impressions. All right, time. Any impressions? Any impressions? Maybe two people. It could be the same two. Anybody, if you have something again this time. I know I wrote down Psalm 23. It was something about that, yea, thou shalt. I was like, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. That's where that took me. Anybody else?
I definitely think of Psalm 91 when I think of this too. Yeah.
Anybody else? One more person, one more impression.
Well, what really, and I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself, but what really keeps hitting me is foot and walk, and this understanding is just bouncing off Well, I don't know if I need to understand something, but
Right.
but that's what's going on with me. As I was reading it, it was just slapping me in the face. So
Wonderful. All right. So now we're going to switch over to the commentary. And I'm going to walk through how to read the commentary because one, I want you to be able to do that. So I have information here from the Oxford Annotated Bible, as well as the Anchor Bible Commentary, as well as the Jewish Study Bible. So let me get my little marker here. All right, so for verse 22, Oxford Annotated really only had two notes. One pertained to verse 25, and the other pertained to, excuse me, verse 22, and the other pertained to verse 25. So verse 22 is the verse that read, "And they will be life for your soul and adornment for your neck." And then verse 25 says, "Do not be afraid of sudden panic or of the storm that strikes the wicked." So those are the two verses. So when you see this CF right here, that means compare. Compare to verse 3. So can somebody pull up Proverbs 3:3? Anybody that has it, you can read it out loud. Proverbs 3:3.
Let not kindness and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the tablet of thy heart.
Right. And so it's saying compare this verse with that verse. This one is talking about the adornment. The other one is bind it around your neck, but it's this idea of being around the neck again. So along with life, which is referenced in verse 2, and health, which is referenced in verse 8, security is one of the benefits of wisdom. And then it gives, e.g. means, for example, when they don't give a book, but they just give these numbers, it means the verse. So, the chapter and verse. So chapter 2, verse 11 and 12, chapter 4, verse 12, chapter 10, verse 25. So that's what it's referencing. Now, verse 25, "Do not be afraid of sudden panic or of the storm that strikes the wicked." Do not is the language of prohibition, used 6 times in succession here in short proverbial type sentences. Sudden panic is usually associated with unexpected disaster. Compare, there's that CF. I don't know why that's the acronym, but it is. Compare chapter 1 of Proverbs, verses 26 and 27. So that's how I want to decipher some of this, because sometimes there's a shorthand and it's like, what are they talking about? And I know, like, if you're looking through material and it's not clear what they're talking about, it's easy to just shut down and be like, okay, I can't read this, or I can't process this. Okay. So let's keep going to I'm going to skip over this verse 21 and go, because there wasn't really a one for well, kind of. Let me just read it for verse 21. Vitality to your throat. That might be a typo, actually. It might have needed to be in 22. In fact, I think it is. I think my assistant typed it in wrong. So verse 22, vitality to your throat. Or, is that verse 21? Yeah. It's a typo. It should be 22. Vitality to your throat or life to your soul. So it's giving the Hebrew word that has been translated as vitality to your throat. So hayim and nepseka. Nepis refers to the physical throat, or more specifically to the windpipe and the breath within it. The spirit of man in the sense of personality and emotions and the individual life itself. The second and third aspects are implied by the English soul, which is often a valid translation. All three are relevant here. The parallel in verse 22, right, which is and they will be life for your soul and adornment for your neck. The parallel in verse 22 with its reference to the neck and the promise of attractiveness, right, because we talked about that, activates the necklace metaphor. So I'm skipping over this thing, but it when you see the italics, is usually a definition or the Hebrew word. And then it says, as in chapter 1, verse 22, chapter 4, verse 9. I hope you guys can see this and this isn't too small. I'm reading right here so that we're all on the same page. Chapter 4, verse 9, and compare chapter 3, verse 4. So again, it's taking you back. And so as you are reading this now, we're not going to do this part of the comparison tonight, but if you were doing this in your devotional time, if you set aside a time, maybe 20 minutes a day to do metaphysical Bible study, which would be an excellent investment of time, then this is the kind of stuff that you would do. You'd go through and you say, what verses are they comparing? And you go back and you read them and you would take your time with this. We're moving a little bit quicker this evening because otherwise we could spend a whole year on just this chapter. So it activates the necklace metaphor in 22. And so see the comments and yeah, just don't worry about that part. I should have erased that part. See the comments in chapter 1, verse 9 and chapter 3, verse 3. The Septuagint, I should say this. So the Septuagint is the translation. Let me get that right. Let me tell you exactly what the Septuagint is. When you see that LL, that LXX. So the Septuagint is the Greek Old Testament. So so remember what I said, we don't have any original copies of the Bible. So it's not like we could just say, well, just go see what the original said. There is no original to go to. And so when they reference, there are different translations through time that have developed authority. The Septuagint is one of them. So the Septuagint is the Greek Old Testament. Why is that important? Because the Old Testament was written in Hebrew, right? In ancient Hebrew. So this is the Old Testament that was translated for the Greeks. And it is the earliest extant, I'm reading right here. Extant just means above ground. It is the earliest extant Koine Greek, which is like the common Greek, like common English. It's the earliest above ground common Greek translation of books from the Hebrew Bible, various biblical apocrypha, and deuterocanonical books. Deuterocanonical just means second canon, books. And it's a Latin word, and it is often abbreviated in the Roman numerals LXX. So when you see that, that's what that means. Now I'm going to give you one other one, which we've seen before, which is what is called the Masoretic text. So the Masoretic text is the authoritative Hebrew and Aramaic text of the 24 books of the Tanakh in Rabbinic Judaism. And so you'll see that, and what it's referencing, again, it's going back, and it's going back to these authorities. These are translations that have come down that over time have become respected. And so there are versions of the Bible, if you go through, I don't have Wisdom for a Lifetime, but in Wisdom for a Lifetime, it actually outlines some of the versions of the Bible were actually translated not from the Hebrew, but were translated from the Septuagint. So it's always like, what is your starting point for your translation? Because where you start for your translation is going to determine where you end up. And so when you see discrepancies between the English Standard Version and the American Standard Version, and sometimes it's just the committee that was doing the work had a difference of opinion, but sometimes it's the starting point. What's their origin? Are they working from fragments? Are they working from the Masoretic text? Are they working from the Septuagint? Like, what is the starting point? Okay. Okay. Sorry, I got a little turnaround. And okay, so verse 23. and never stub your toe. So that was something that we picked up on. So I'm right here at verse 23. And again, you have this on the handout. So literally the word is foot, even though it says stub your toe. Stubbing the toe is a figure for a minor mishap. For example, if you see Psalm, there you go, Shamika, Psalm 91, verse 12. We could Ehrlich compare Rakim, those are scholars' names. And it's saying go back and read that. But again, if you were doing the scholarly level of this, you'd go look those people up. We could translate this and not even stub your toe. Verse 24, sit down. So that phrase, so the MT, that's the Masoretic text. And so what the translation is from that text is actually lie down. I don't know what this references. Arose by BK Ditography. I don't know what that means. But the Septuagint confirms teseb, which means to sit down. So basically, there's a difference between the Masoretic text and the Septuagint. This reading reveals a sequence of actions in verses 23 and 24, walking, sitting down, going to sleep. All are done without pain or fear. God will protect you when you sleep. You will not have, and it's referencing Psalm chapter 4, verse 9. You will not have nightmares. Contrast that with Job chapter 7, verse 14. Okay. Verse 25, you will not fear. So the Hebrew there is al-tirah, and it literally means do not fear. So it is an imperative that can serve as a negative final clause to a preceding imperative, the sudden terror. Suddenness in biblical language implies unexpected timing and is almost always associated with disaster. And then that's just a reference that you can go look up. The sinner's calamity comes without warning. The phrase, the calamity of the wicked or storm, the Hebrew there is soah, thus translated at chapter 1, verse 27 for Proverbs. This is not simply a misfortune that comes upon the wicked. It is their calamity stored in readiness for their day of judgment. In our modern day language, you might say it's karma. You got what's coming to you. Job chapter 38, verse 22 to 23, and Isaiah 47, 11 speak of punitive storms in similar terms. The wicked are imagined to be at least vaguely aware of what is coming and to live in gnawing foreboding of its advent. Only the timing of their fate is unknown, which makes the anxiety all the more oppressive. All right, and then verse 26, we're still in the Anchor Bible commentary. The Lord will be your trust. The Hebrew is, and I'm gonna mess this up really well, be kisleka, whatever. Okay. But basically it means trust or confidence, which is probably the word's derivation. The fool has confidence, but of a pernicious sort. His kessel, his trust, is a delusion. And then it's giving you some verses to look at. Look at Psalm 49:14. Look at Job 8:14. And then compare it to Job 31:24. Whereas the wise man's kessel, right, is God himself, not man. And then see Proverbs 3:26, right? And keep your foot from the snare. So what you're seeing there, those because those phrases are a little bit different than the versions we've read. They're actually the translation of the Anchor Bible did. And keep your foot from the snare. So this assurance reinforces the promise of walking safely through life. Verse 23, the motifs of trap and unexpected disaster are paired also in Psalms chapter 35:8. A calamity, soah, right? It's calamity, of which he is unaware will come upon him, and his net, which he hid, will ensnare him. He will fall into it in a storm or a calamity. Besoa. So soa, besoa, basically calamity. The righteous escape such fates. Nevertheless, life, even for the righteous, is a narrow path through rough and perilous territory, full of pitfalls, snares, rocks, and storms. A judicious fear of the dangers in the way, we can encourage obedience to the teachings of wisdom and reliance on God, and this will keep one on the safe path. In this way, the righteous person fears, and this promotes genuine security and inner repose, whereas the fool lives in confidence, a smug overconfidence that blinds him to real dangers and makes him blunder blithely into hazardous paths and life's pitfalls. Therefore, paradoxically, happy is the man who fears always, but he who hardens his heart will fall into evil. And that is Proverbs 28:14. Okay, so let's take a breath with that. Let's take a breath with that. And we want to just take a moment and write down whatever our impressions are. And so the questions that you're answering are on this in blank number 1. Am I showing the right thing? Yeah. Blank number 1. So we've read the passage, we've read the Bible notes, and now we just want to take one last thing. And you've already been jotting down things as we've gone through the different translations, but now that we've got some additional information about the Hebrew, about again, we're trying to get back to what is the nuance and what could the original writers have meant, right? We're trying to get beyond, maybe I should stop and do this for a second. So when we read, we have a lens, right? We live in a world where we've got cell phones, we've got, it was amazing. I was driving home today from the office and I had my Waze on, and it was literally reading the traffic patterns and rerouting me so that I would get to my destination in the most efficient way. And the route that it gave me starting out changed along the way based on the traffic patterns. We have the ability now in medical science, all of us, or not all of us, some of us have gotten vaccinated. We're vaccinated with a vaccine that is probably the fastest that a vaccine has ever gotten to market. It is advanced technology. When I grew up, it's probably why a lot of people were afraid of taking the vaccine. Vaccines were dead versions of the virus that they put in your body. And then you developed an immunity based on the dead versions of the virus. And this is not that, right? So, what I'm trying to get you to see is that we've got this world view that we live in. We think of the world as spherical and that we are the third rock from the sun, but and this is not the only galaxy. There are other galaxies. We have the ability to send people into outer space. They have the ability to actually crack or break through Earth's atmosphere. We have the ability to travel faster than the speed of sound or the speed of light. I mean, all of these things. I just want to, right. So then when we go back to this almost feel like prehistoric as far as we're concerned, mindset, we want to try to push through that. So part of what's happening when we're reading the different versions, and we're reading the different supplemental pieces of material, what we're trying to do is almost pull back the curtain and get back into that ancient mindset. And we'll never be able to do it 100% because it's kind of like, Jordan, looking at how stuff was, and I know what it was. He wanted me to play with something, and I said, well, girls didn't play with those things when I was a little girl. And he was like, girls didn't play with cars? Like what? like, what are you talking about? Like what? It wasn't Cars, it was something like that, you know? And so one day we were watching Scooby-Doo, and I said, oh, Jordan, this was my favorite cartoon. He said, yeah, well, at least now you get to see it in color. And I was like, hey, hold up. I'm not that damn old. Okay. So, it's like he can't put his mind back in the 1970s and 1980s. So now you add 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. So part of this process that we're doing is that we're trying to open ourselves up to the wisdom of that ancient period of time, because there's wisdom there, even though our world is different, we've got all these advancements, but there's a process to get to that. And we'll never be able to escape this worldview entirely, but we can do our best to relax it to hear something different. So that's part of what's happening when we're reading these different verses. It's not just work for the sake of work. Okay. All right. He told me Scooby-Doo in color. All right. So part 2, chapter 3, verse 22. Okay, that's not what I want to do. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to read it one more time. We're going to consider it in the light of all of the supplemental material that we have read. And we're just going to take a few minutes to just write down our impressions. What is this about for you? That's what you're asking the question. What is this about for you? Okay. And they will be life for your soul and adornment for your neck. Then you will walk on your way securely, and your foot will not stumble. If you sit down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden panic or of the storm that strikes the wicked. For the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. All right, let's take a deep breath. I'm gonna set that timer again. And we're just writing down, what is this passage about? Thirty seconds. Okay. Time. All right, so we're gonna move on to number 2, which is identify the keywords and phrases that you will look up. So we will look at this again. I'll circle the words and we'll do, we've got 7 people. We will do 3 breakout rooms. Would that be right? Yeah, 3 breakout rooms. Let me get those set up while we're talking. Okay, breakout room number 1 will be verses 22 and 23. And that is Erlene and Glenda. Breakout room 2 is verses 24 and 25, and that is Mulela and Shamika. And breakout room 25 and 26 is verse 26. What did I say? Breakout room number 3 is verse 26, and that's Alita and Dr. Brenda. Okay, all right. So first, let's talk about the words that we're going to look up. Just backing up a little bit, I want to make sure that we never miss this. We always want to look up places, numbers, and proper names. So some immediate things, if we're going through the Lord, is something to look up. Soul, adornment for your neck. Foot will not stumble. What is that? You know, if you sit down, we've got some of the commentary for that. Afraid. Afraid. So you're looking, so the other thing you're looking for is words that repeat. So the word afraid repeats, right? We've got that twice. Anytime you have a word in a passage that repeats, there's something there. So you want to look that up. Foot comes up multiple times. You know, first it was being stumbling, but this one it's about being caught. Okay. All right. So though that's that. Let me give you, I want to look at the ASV for a second there. So the other words from the ASV are life. So verse 22, there are 4 words that are there: life, soul, grace, neck. Verse 23, so that's Arlene and Glenda. Life, soul, grace, neck, walk, and way. Life, soul, grace, neck, walk, and way. Mulela and Shamika, the only word for verse 24 is sleep, and verse 25, fear. Verse 24, sleep, and verse 25, fear. And Alita and Dr. Brenda, verse 26, Jehovah, and being. Although I don't think this is I think it's going to take you to being, but I'm sure it'll be fine. BEING, keep thy foot from being taken. So those are the words to pay attention to when you are looking. So that would be here, life, soul. The word in the ASV is grace, and they translated adornment as grace. Neck. I think that I said walk and way, but you're also going to look up foot. You may end up looking up the word feet. I don't know if the word foot is in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, but I think feet, the plural is there. Afraid. Okay, we got that. All right. So those are the words that you're looking up for the verses that you have. All right. Any questions before we go into the breakout rooms?
Quick question.
So
Yeah.
our goal from the breakout room is to come up with definitions so that when we come back, we already have it succinctly ready to put back into the version you have right here in the handout, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And just so that we're clear, the ASV, sometimes it uses a different word. So we're looking at the word here in the New Revised Standard Version, but when you go to the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, you want to compare the ASV, because like for verse 22, they translate the word as grace, whereas the New Revised Standard Version translated it as adornment. Okay. All right. So we'll have 10 minutes at 7:56, so we'll come back at 5 after, unless you guys finish sooner. So. Okay, okay. All right, I'm going to give you guys some music. Those of you that are online, they're in the breakout rooms now. Let's go have some good music. What should we listen to? I want to listen to Say Yes again, because I think my worship team is the bomb. Okay. This is Up Church original.
Open your eyes, heart like these arms wide open. This is your time to live in your sacred purpose. See what's prepared for you. The choice is only good. Joy everlasting. Life can be good without ceasing. Love knows no bounds. It's for us through each and every season. See what's prepared for you. The choice is up to you to accept it. Open up your mind, receive it. Accept it. Say it. You may be tired. There's comfort in how you've done things. Your strength decides. It's in you at every moment. He'll never force himself on you. Just shows and waits to see if you accept it. Open up your mind, receive it. Leave your past behind, accept it. Open up your mind, receive it. Accept it. And say say yes to your dream. Say yes. Say yes. It's good, it's good, it's good. Your purpose is good. Say yes. All you have to do is say yes. Say yes.
Okay, I gotta find something else. This is a perennial favorite.
I let the Lord lead me. I let His love guide me, and His Spirit strengthens my heart. I let His arms protect me, and His voice direct me to the place where I belong. You made the sun shine. You made the moon to make light. You know the plan you have for me, and in your plan I'm free. You made the birds to sing. You are the Lord of everything. You are the light in the darkness. Speak through me.
Uh-oh.
Flow through me. Help me see who I am. I let the Lord lead me. I let His love guide me, and His Spirit strengthens my heart. I let His arms protect me, and His voice direct me to the place where I belong. You made the sun. You made the sun to shine. You made the moon. You made the moon to make light. You know the plans you have for me, and in your plan I am free. You made the birds to sing. You are the Lord. You are the Lord of everything. You are the light. You are the light in the
I'm so super proud of them. I'm so super proud of them. Oh, we are closed. I should have given them a warning, huh? We're closing the breakout rooms. Time to come back. I'm so super proud of my worship team. They just keep growing and glowing, growing and glowing, writing new music every time. Take me to the place where I belong. How'd that go? I think you're muted. There you are. Good? Did you get no? So? Okay. We'll work it out. We'll work it out.
I had Erlene cracking up. I was praying when you were going to put us in rooms. I only did verses 22 and 23. And because I figured we'd only get to 2. And when you said we're going to verse 26, I'm like, oh, Lord. But then when you gave us 22 and 23, I was like, hey, I told Erlene, I said, I got us.
And she's a scholar. So
Yeah, no, I saw your text message earlier. I was like, oh, Glenda is on it. Is on it. Yes. Well, I had music going because this is on YouTube. So I realized it's just dead space when folks in the breakout rooms. So I was playing videos.
yeah, and that's what it was on Facebook when you guys used to go into the breakout room, because I do it on Facebook and then I'd be lost.
All right, we are going to the whiteboard. Text. Control V. Ooh, that's big. Hold on, let me make that smaller. Can I stretch this? Okay. There we go. Stretch it out. Okay, so let us start with verse 22 and 23. That was
Erlene and Glenda. Yes, the word life.
okay.
We chose activate and vigor. And I said energy because when I think of life, I think of the life force as being energy as well.
So you want to put the word activate there?
Mm-hmm.
What other word am I replacing?
Vigor.
So,
Oh no. Oh, the next word was soul. Would be man's conscience and subconscious. So
okay.
And grace would
adornment is grace.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. I can't read my writing on that one. So would you go ahead with that one, Glenda?
Oh, okay. So grace would be a disposition to show mercy.
Okay. So kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then neck.
Mm-hmm.
And neck is the seat of the power faculty in man.
Okay.
And it reminds me of the throat chakra, because when I looked it up in the Hebrew and Strong's, it's the throat. And so, you know, when we talk about the power of our words and stuff like that, that reminded me of the throat chakra.
I'm gonna make this print just a little bit smaller so it'll all fit on the same page. Okay. All right.
And then walk was to acknowledge the power of Christ's spirit within mind and body as the dominating force.
Okay. Anything else?
Way.
Mhm.
The I am in man, the open door to the kingdom of God.
Okay. Anything else?
And
We
then
did foot,
Mhm.
and it was like walking.
Okay. And feet represent understanding metaphysically.
Yes, they
Mhm.
do. And stumble.
Uh-huh.
What was your definition, Glenda?
okay, so when I looked up stumble in the Greek, because it's not in the revealing word, it was to push, to stub the toe, or to inflict a disease. I would have never thought of stumble as inflicting a disease.
Right, right, right. So maybe what so that seems like a
And
set.
will not be pushed, I guess, would be a way, and your understanding will not be pushed.
Well, I was gonna say a setback, because if you think about being pushed, disease, all of those are setbacks.
Oh, great.
So we'll
Perfect. Yes, yes.
okay, all right. Verse 24 and 25, that's Malayla and Shamika. I'm ready for you.
All right. If you go into a state of rest, so that's for sit down. So for you will not be afraid.
Uh-huh.
Your mental action will not be paralyzed or weakened. That's for afraid. And then when you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. And then we had, do not, what was the other one for afraid? Do not be worried that something undesirable will occur.
Okay.
And I think that's it. I think that was all of the words we had. We had those three.
Okay. Great, great, great. Excellent. Okay. And finally, Alita and Dr.
Well, I had a question though.
Yes, yes.
My question was, is the verse looks like it's already just self-explanatory. I'm not sure why we're adding like more into it.
Sure. So I think that's a really excellent question. So there are different levels to things.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what happens with the metaphysics is going to a deeper level. Because remember, the Hebrew text has nuance and at least 4 levels of meaning, each letter. Mm-hmm. So that when you put a word together, you're actually putting a formula together. And English is very flat. So what we are seeking to do is, like I said in the beginning, try to get back to that original understanding.
Okay.
The other thing we're trying to do is to tap into those nuances that simply just don't translate with the English reading. And so, yes, there's nothing wrong with if you did this as a devotion and you just work with the verse. Because
no, I think that it's like a liquid. Like if you just read it, and I think if you give it time, it will sip in the way it's supposed to. If you let the Spirit work with you.
Correct. Absolutely. And this, neither approach is wrong. Both are right. So then each individual has to decide how far down the rabbit hole do I desire to go.
Reverend Sherri, I forgot the Mulela said for sleep. I forgot that one. It's peace of mind. Sorry about that, Mulela.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Alita, and that's a great question. I think that's a really, really great question. And I would bet that there are people who look at what we do with metaphysics and go, what are you doing? Like, it's already good as is. And so
No, I actually use the same method to look at scriptures. Actually, before I ran into you, I thought I was the only one who look at scriptures and see different layers in it. But I'm just saying, I'm not sure if you can use a quick cutter approach to every verse, or it does every verse have layers. You know what I'm saying? And some verses just right there.
Every verse has layers, because remember, English is flat, Hebrew is not, and we're reading a translation. So we're reading someone else's decisions about what the Hebrew says. That's why when they say they're referencing all these scholars, they're like, well, this person said this. They're giving the names of the scholars as like, this is the authority on which I feel like this is what it means. Right? That there is no agreement. There is no original to go back to. There are just copies of the copies of the copies of the copies. And there are lots of errors in the copies. Some intentional, some not intentional. Wonderful. But I think the question you ask is important because one, I wouldn't want that to be a barrier for anybody trying to dig into this kind of work. And two, is just getting that's there's not that what not doing it is not wrong, and do like it's, you know, it's choosing where do I want to go, what rabbit hole do I want to run down. Alita and Dr. Brenda for 26. Oh, you're muted, Alita.
Okay, Dr. Brenda, don't leave me hanging out here.
I got you.
Okay, we kind of mixed this around. So what we said was for the Lord, which is I am that I am. So, but we twisted it around to say, when we come into the realization, which would be confidence, of the I am that I am, oh Lord.
Now we're going to put the meaning of that you got for foot.
Oh, our, oh my God. Our understanding.
And we'll keep your understanding from being caught.
But what we had said that, you know, because of the definition for understanding, we had said that when we come into the confidence, we're able to manifest.
Being manifestation, wisdom, you know, the will. And so we thought that this was saying, once you come into the I am, the realization will keep your understanding so that you will be able to manifest your will.
Thank you.
Word stifled captures what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, this is good. So now what we want to do is we're reading through, again, these are not perfect sentences. We weren't looking for them to be, but we're now at step 4, which is we inserted it back into the script, the definitions back into the scripture, and now we're just listening, right? And they will activate for your conscious and subconscious mind and disposition to show mercy for your seat of the power faculty in man, throat chakra. So let me say your power center. Change that right there. Just clean that up, power center. So they will activate for your conscious and subconscious mind. Disposition to show mercy. Got to do something with that.
Take out 4, and they will activate your subconscious and conscious mind, or subconscious and conscious.
Just take what out?
4, and they will activate. Take out 4.
Yep. Okay. Then you will acknowledge the power of Christ, spirit and mind and body as a dominating force of the I am in man, the open door to the kingdom of God securely, and your understanding will not experience setback. If you go into a state of rest, your mental action will not be paralyzed. When you lie down, your peace of mind will be sweet. Do not be worried something undesirable will occur or of the storm that strikes the wicked. For the I am will be your realization and will keep your understanding from being stifled. So I see a lot of things here. The one thing about the understanding being stifled, right? The understanding not having a setback, in your understanding, I think about, one of the things that God gave me is that there's the you here. Oh, wrong thing. Hold on. Yeah, drawing. There's you here, and then there's where you want to be, right? Over here. If you imagine that as a bridge, that bridge is crossed by understanding. That it's a skill. Wherever distance between you where you are and you where you want to be, the only thing that separates it is a skill. There's something that you don't know how to do that is keeping you from where you desire to be.
The 50 gates, you should look.
All movement is, you got some background noise there. I think that's Malala. All movement then is about skill acquisition. And so when it says your understanding will not experience a setback, your understanding will not be stifled. You can move confident. Anybody else? Things that you see here. And I can tell you that I definitely didn't get that just reading just the text on the page. That it definitely came from doing the metaphysics and adding those substituting those definitions. Anybody else?
Have you ever heard of the 50 gates of understanding?
The what?
The 50 gates of understanding.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it a book?
No, it's apparently taken from Genesis. Yeah, it's an esoteric concept that's taken from Genesis.
Oh, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, you should.
Okay. Got it. I'll write that down. Anybody else? Anything that you're getting from this reading? I love the idea of your mind, your conscious, and activating your conscious and your subconscious mind, because the conscious and the subconscious mind is always being directed by what you think, what you feel, what you say, like it's always being activated. It never rests. It's never not being given instructions, which means it's never not creating your experience. And so,
Well, Sherri, I like after from being stifled and lead to manifestation. I don't want to just stop at stifling, but it's going to lead to what you want to manifest.
Hold on, let me get that.
At the bottom.
Yeah, I got it.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
too, because I like the definition, that feet represents the phase of understanding that connects with the outer or manifest world that reveals the right relationship. So, and then at the bottom, I think it's very, very interesting. That right relationship.
Wonderful.
where
So-
we could take possession of substance.
Uh-huh.
When you could just keep reading on and on, that
Yeah.
will comprehend, that we comprehend and understand. So we can't take a possession of any substance that we don't comprehend
Right.
and understand. In the name of I am.
You don't know, you cannot do what you do not understand.
That's
In the
right.
name of I am.
Yes,
In the
that's
name of I am.
favorite thing. You can't do what you don't understand. So you got to get some understanding. And July was her month, which is the month of understanding. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
something you say there, like you say the skill, because I have a testimony about understanding. I never used to have skill with juggling my football, but after, I don't know, up to this day, I still don't know what happened, but most of it had a lot to do with the understanding part, working with the 50 gates of understanding. And after that process, like I'm getting like I don't know, the skill just came from nowhere. So I don't know, but yeah, something about the skill and the understanding.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for just your consciousness. And next week we will pick up with part 3. Should I close it too fast? Part 3 is verses 27 to 32. 27 to 32 is where we'll go. Treat others fairly. Treat others fairly. So that's where we will go next week. Thank you so much for tonight. And I will see you guys in another 7 days. I want to make a couple of announcements. December. Where am I? June 13th is the annual for Up Church. It is a public meeting. Only members vote. We'll be voting on board members. We'll be talking about our plans for reopening. We'll be working on all of that. So I want to encourage you to come be a part of that. Just really exciting stuff for us. And yeah, that's it. So have a beautiful night, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Good week.
Bye.
Good night.